Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about one of the new weapons added into this game that has quickly become one of the top tier weapons in this game. Definitely, I would say one of the best weapons in this game from my experience, the RAM-7 assault rifle, which is absolutely deadly. Of course, this is a free DLC weapon that is available through the free section of the Battle Pass. You can also get variants for it and different other things, but this weapon, just when it straight up comes down to performance, it is a very strong weapon. It's one of those assault rifles that has a nasty fire rate, but it also has a decent damage and takes people out quite well at, I would say, close to mid-range for a assault rifle. The downsides of this weapon would probably be the fact that the recoil patterns are a little bit more than you'll see with a lot of the traditional weapons in this game that are assault rifles. However, I think you can easily pull down against that recoil by pulling down on the right stick or finding other attachments, which we'll talk about in this video to help you control that. And the other one would be the reload time, not necessarily the reload time, but the magazine size, which of course affects how often you're going to have to be reloading, which we can also talk about and address with this class setup here. This weapon overall is an absolutely deadly weapon in this game, so I'd appreciate if you guys could drop a like on this video. Takes only half a second. Gonna have a class setup also for the Holger 26, which is another just deadly new weapon into this game. So smack a like. Let's go ahead and go for 707 likes. It only takes a millisecond. If we could hit that, that'd be absolutely incredible. Drop down and hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed. Below the video, go ahead and hit that sub button and turn on the notification bell. Would very much appreciate that. Let's go ahead and break it down and talk about this weapon. Now, of course, these weapons were added into the game, and the way the DLC system works in this game is pretty positive, I'd say, at least in comparison to what we've seen before, where to get these two new weapons, you don't have to spend a couple $100 on supply drops and sort of roll the dice. You just basically can earn them for free, which is awesome. But then once you do earn these, you're going to have to use, especially with like a lot of the double weapon XP and bonuses you get throughout the battle pass, those can be helpful also, but you're gonna have to level up these weapons and get the good attachments onto these weapons. If you do have the variant, which I believe is available at level 98 on the battle pass, so probably gonna be a while before most players are unlocking that, but that variant is pretty nice with this weapon. The Corruptor, I believe it's called. It gives you a holographic sight and some nice attachments to start up and sort of use as you're leveling this thing up. But once you hit to a higher level, there is a deadly class setup that I've created in this video, which honestly makes this one of the top tier weapons in this game. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Now, first of all, what do you rock as far as the perks? Now, with perks on this weapon, I rock perk number 1, EOD. EOD is just so damn strong. Even on whatever we're on, patch point 1.11 on season 1, EOD still remains the front runner for perk number 1. The only way you can sort of compete with EOD is if you want to take like a shotgun or an overkill with like an MP5 secondary, but that really isn't needed on a weapon like this, which kills so effectively at all ranges. EOD, very helpful. Perk number 2, I like to go with Ghost on this weapon. Ghost works very nicely. I find that it's still one that just the way that it works in this game, you don't even have to be moving. Obviously, most of the time you're going to be moving, sort of running around like I was in this gameplay with this weapon, but Ghost is just so damn strong, and the way you can catch people off guard with the UAV and the personal radar, I mean, those are probably like the most used kill streaks in this game, especially the UAV, and having that Ghost gives you such a good edge against your opponents, especially when they're not expecting you. Maybe you like rushing with Ghost and Dead Silence on the field upgrade, which the field upgrade is amazing. You can stack, just becomes such a deadly combo with this weapon. Perk number 3, speaking of Dead Silence, I like to rock with Tune Up as far as perk number 3. That is simply for the fact that I'm able to reset my Dead Silence and my ammo crates, which are the two field upgrades I rock with. Field Upgrade Pro, rock double on that, so whenever you're struggling with ammo, which honestly isn't too often with this weapon for the fact that I use extended mags on my setup, plus you're running over a lot of people's ammunition that use the same type as this weapon, as it's probably one of the most common ammunition types in this game. But stacking Dead Silence can be very helpful, and you see me do it quite a bit in this gameplay here, especially when you're on a map and they've switched back from Crash 24/7 to Shoot House 24/7. You can cycle that and do absolute work when it comes down to those perks. So Tune Up as far as perk 3. Field upgrades I like to run with not necessarily stopping power, although stopping power can be deadly on this weapon, but in a slower, or not necessarily slower, but a lower player game mode, I would use Dead Silence, and then of course always sticking with the ammo pack just in case you run out of ammo, so you can slap that thing down and resupply, as well as resupply your stim shot and claymore, what I use for as far as equipment. Now, when it comes down to attachments, what do I rock with as far as this thing? Now, like I said, the first problem with this weapon you're going to find is the fact that you have to reload very often. So the first thing you're going to think of is to rock Sleight of Hand, and I do rock Sleight of Hand on this weapon as far as my weapon perk, but even when I was playing with this weapon and with Sleight of Hand, I was still running into trouble where I'm getting double kills, I'm getting triple kills, feels, especially on a fast-paced game map and mode where like we're playing whatever it was, hardpoint on Shoot House 24/7 in this gameplay. It's going to be very, very fast-paced, and I found that even with sleight of hand with the 30-round mag, it was just, you run out of ammo way too quick based on the pure fact that, not to say the reload time is slow, it's honestly not very slow. It's like normal speed, I'd say, for the reload time, but the fire rate being so fast and the magazine size being so normal at 30, which is pretty standard for ARs, makes you run out of ammo very, very quickly. So sleight of hand at number 1 as far as my weapon perk, and then also with the extended mags. Now the extended mags takes this thing from 30 rounds to 45 rounds. Personally, I think it's not worth it on most weapons in this game, especially based on the fact that you're using one of your 5 available attachment slots for that, and you're also slowing yourself down because by using the 45 round mag, there actually is negatives and weaknesses to that of slowing yourself down on your weapon and your mobility around that. But I personally think it is worth it to take those slowdowns on this weapon because this weapon still feels really, really nice, and it feels like a hybrid AR SMG that does work even at range. Your biggest problem is going to be your recoil, which is going to be tough to control, but at mid-range for an AR, this thing does absolute work. So that's what I rock with as far as my second attachment, doubling up on sort of that magazine problem by rocking extended mags and sleight of hand, which usually I would say do not rock both of those on the same weapon, but for this weapon, it definitely is an exception, and I think it is 100% worth it. And let's break down the other attachments we use. We'll go into the in-game menu and break down the last couple attachments for this overpowered setup. Drop a like. Let's go ahead and do that. So here we have the class setup right here. Like I said, EOD, Ghost, and then tune-up rocking with the RAM-7 Claymore Stim Shot. Now, breaking down the attachments on this weapon, what are you going to want to rock? Now, like I said already, sleight of hand is basically a gimme on this weapon, and then the ammunition for the 45-round mag, which, like I said, does have some punishments on the ADS speed and the movement speed, which it really does suck, although it's not that punishing. You can see from the chart even, it's a very minimal punishment, but it's sort of a double down because you also have to take up 1 slot to use this. I think it really is worth it. Like I said, this combo of sleight of hand and extended mags is not one you'll see often, but I find that it does work good on this weapon. Next, for my third attachment, I go with the stippled grip tape personally because this weapon, like I said, feels more like a hybrid AR SMG mix, which not to say that it's not a great AR because it is. However, if you're fighting people at super duper far ranges, this thing, because of the recoil pattern, doesn't really have too much of a chance unless you'd have to pop fire it, I guess you could say. This is perfect for a map like Crash or a map like Hackney Yard, Shoot House, or maybe a 10v10 on Gunrunner, situations where you're fighting people at sometimes mid-range, but also close range where you need to be effective. Stippled grip tape, of course, one of the best perks, or not perks, but attachments in this game, giving yourself ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, which sprint to fire speed is so key on a weapon like this, and ADS speed is great as well. Next, for the stock, I run with the traditional stock. Like I say, this is a hybrid weapon. It still is an AR, though, in terms of how the weapon actually is and what it's classified as. So on the fact, like when I use the AUG as an assault rifle, the AUG already has some good strafe speed because it's in the SMG weapon category, right? Even though I'm converting it to an AR kind of with my 5.56 ammo. With this weapon, even if you're playing it like an SMG or a mid-range weapon, you need the stock on it. The ultralight hollow for the aim walking movement speed just makes the handling of this weapon so nice. And then when it comes down to the final touch or the final best attachment, I think this attachment makes a big deal on this weapon. It is the XRK Ranger. And why this makes a big deal is, as you're leveling up, I guess you probably want to stay away from this unless you're going full on rush mode SMG style, but you could go with the Forged Tack Eclipse. But once you get up eventually to the Ranger, which costs you a little bit of movement speed, but gives you that recoil control, this is a game-changing attachment. I'm telling you guys, once you get this attachment, it makes the whole class setup come together. Without this attachment, it does feel like it adds quite a bit of recoil to this weapon. Even with this attachment, it does have a good amount of recoil, but the key to this is to play it to its strengths. Do not use this weapon on really big line of sight situations. Use it for maps where you're sticking around the mid-range where this weapon excels at. And also the recoil control, my best advice would be to pull down on that right thumbstick, but of course the better advice than that, because that's more of it's something that it's easier said than done. Just to pull down on the thumbstick, you'll get no recoil. It's something that takes practice, and of course people that have been playing Call of Duty for a long time, I remember dealing with the FAMAS recoil after nerf in Black Ops 1, so I'm kind of used to it at this point, dealing with different weapons with recoil. But the main main tip I would say is to stick with this weapon and fight in situations where this weapon has its strength at. And that's what I would say. As far as the default sights, I like how it comes with the default sight. If you don't like that, I guess you could swap off the stock and go ahead and go with a red dot. However, I think that costs your handling a little bit because of not only do you lose the aim walking movement speed, I guess you get some aim and stability back, but you also lose ADS speed when using a sight on this weapon. That's just how it works in this game. I find that this class setup works very, very effectively and is absolutely awesome for playing probably to the style that this weapon is made to be played at. Mid-range overall, slaying people out with an assault rifle. The time to kill is wicked, the fire rate is wicked, and all of it comes together to make a really good class setup, I think, when it comes down to this RAM-7. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, the best class setup after using this weapon and popping off with it a little bit on Shoot House and playing with it on Crash as well. I find it just really works, and it does suck you have to use 2 weapon slots to deal with the magazine sort of things, but I think it's worth it because once you get those double and triple kills and you're jumping around the corner for the 4th kill, it feels really rewarding and is a really fun gun to use. Honestly, becoming one of my personal favorites in this game since the latest updates or when this was added. Thanks for watching. Drop a like on this video if you guys did make it to the end. Comment 7 down below in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment a 7 for RAM-7. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. That's about it, and I'm out. Peace.